I am pleased to welcome you to the 2024 Youth Connekt Africa Summit. We are particularly pleased to welcome our newest member, the Youth Connekt chapter of the Kingdom of Lesotho.
This year's theme, it's about jobs for our youth through innovative skilling. Africa has suffered a beating on its confidence, where many of us have grown up post-colonial period, believing somewhat that somewhere else will come and rescue us. This has to end.
So, but we became refugees in the neighboring country. From that time I was 4. But it is disheartening to when you see that what I'm talking about then, so many years ago, in the 60s, some of them are happening even now. You still have people, especially young people, suffer the most, I imagine, and their mothers, and you still have people suffering, and suffering because of politics, because of all kinds of bad governance.
I just want to say to our youth, patience pays. Be a patient.
In your view, what should Africa prioritize over the next decade to position itself as a leading source of global talent?
Ese ufite imbogamizi zo kugenda?
Ufite imbogamizi mu kubona?
Ese hari waba ufite imbogamizi z'uruhu?
Ese waba ufite imbogamizi mu kumva no kuvuga?
Ese waba ufite imbogamizi mu kugenda, mu mitekerereze, mu kumva, mu kuvuga? Ese waba ufite imbogamizi mu kubona?
Ubu leta y'u Rwanda irimo gukora ikusanyamakuru ku bantu bafite izo mbogamizi zishobora kuvamo ubumuga. Niba utaragerwaho n'abakusanyamakuru, egera ubuyobozi bw'akagari. Wowe kandi uzi umuryango urimo abantu bafite izi mbogamizi, wiceceka, bibutse, bamenyeshe cyangwa se ubwire ubuyobozi bukwegereye.
Nitwa Mugisha Jacques, mfite ubumuga bwo kutabona. Nize kaminuza, ubu mfite akazi. Agaciro k'iri kusanyamakuru ni uko zifasha leta gushyira mu igenamigambi ingamba zikemura ibibazo abantu bafite ubumuga bahura nabyo mu Rwanda. Baruzi uwawe, nanjye naribaruje.
Njyewe naribaruje.
Njyewe naribaruje.
Njyewe naribaruje.
Njyewe naribaruje.
Njyewe narabaruwe.
First on stage, Utumatuishima, Jean Nepo Abdallah, the Minister of Youth and Arts here in Rwanda, also a co-chair of Youth Connekt Africa.
Your Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, Your Excellency Samuel Tsokoane Matekane, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Lesotho, Ms. Ahuna Eziakonwa, UNDP Assistant Administrator and Director of the Regional Bureau of Africa and Co-Chair of Youth Connekt Africa Initiative, Mr. Gwet Yan Eric, the Executive Director of Youth Connekt Africa Hub, Honorable Ministers, distinguished delegates, partners, and more importantly, the youth of Africa, good morning. I am pleased to welcome you to the 2024 Youth Connekt Africa Summit. To begin, I would like to thank and to extend my gratitude to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, for joining us today. Thank you for continuing to place young Africans at the center of your leadership. Since its inception, Youth Connekt has evolved from a national program into a Pan-African initiative. As of 2024, Youth Connekt has expanded its reach and is now active in 33 countries across the continent. We are particularly pleased to welcome our newest member, the Youth Connekt chapter of the Kingdom of Lesotho. On behalf of the Youth Connekt Africa initiative, I'd like to take this opportunity to extend our sincere gratitude to the government of Kenya for graciously hosting the Youth Connekt Africa Summit 2023. A round of applause for Kenya that hosted Youth Connekt Africa in 2023. The theme of this year's summit, Jobs Through Innovative Skilling, addresses the urgent need to create sustainable employment for Africa's youth. In this ever-changing world, it is crucial that we empower our youth with the relevant and adaptive skills. To conclude, I would like to thank all delegations and partners who have worked tirelessly to make this summit a success. Once again, I welcome you all to Kigali, and I wish you fruitful discussions with only positive vibes. Thank you.
Ms. Ahuna Eziakonwa, the UNDP's Assistant Administrator and Regional Director for Africa. Please join us on stage.
Excellency, Mr. Paul Kagame, the President of this beautiful country, the Republic of Rwanda. Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Lesotho, Ndate Matakani. Your Excellency, my partner in crime, the Minister of Youth, Honorable Abdallah, thank you for hosting us. I also recognize all the ministers of youth who are here from different countries. I also recognize partners, development partners who make some of the things that we do possible. I want to especially recognize the European Union Ambassador in Rwanda who is here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, the youth of Africa, say woye! Do we have South Sudan in the room? Young people of Africa, woye! What a special moment. And I think we owe it all to a real leader of this continent, His Excellency Paul Kagame, in 2017, having this vision. And Your Excellency, at the time you had this vision, UNDP rose to the challenge. And we have not stopped to accompany Youth Connekt, because it is indeed an idea whose time had come. And in fact, at that time, we didn't realize that you had had a vision that would make Africa so relevant to a world today that is so deeply divided, a world that is almost unraveling, with so much uncertainty, so much polarization. Today, we are not talking about a unipolar or bipolar world. We're looking at a multipolar world that is emerging. And what comes with multipolarism is quite a bit of confusion. And what that then calls for is multilateralism. Stronger, more, not less multilateralism. And this year, at the UN General Assembly, under the leadership of the UN Secretary General, member states of the UN adopted the Pact for the Future. A lot about that was about what we are discussing here today, young people. And yesterday, one of my staff asked me the question, how will UNDP Africa ensure that the Pact for the Future is not another piece of paper on a shelf? And my response, I did not hesitate to say, that this moment today where we celebrate once again another Youth Connekt Summit, it's about how we start to demonstrate the realization of the Pact for the Future, because investing in the youth is the core principle that will make that pact sustainable. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege to be here today amidst an electrifying energy of Africa's youth, a force that's not just shaping conversations, but driving real change across our continent. And I'm excited to return to Rwanda after our meeting in Kenya, which was also very inspiring. And thanks to the Kenyan government for getting us there. And I want to say that there are people here who should have been elsewhere, including the Right Honorable Prime Minister of Lesotho, who could have been on his way to Baku for the COP29, but he prioritized this summit because he sees the importance that this holds for the future of his country and the future of Africa. This year's theme, it's about jobs for our youth through innovative skilling. And I have a long speech here that I could make, but I'm not gonna continue with that speech. I'm going to just say a few words around the skilling. I think this is such an appropriate theme for this year, which is the African Union's Year of Education. Because without equipping our young people, we will have an Africa that continues to lose its value and resources to others, because you don't have a population that understands how to leverage what it has for its own well-being and its own future. So skilling is extremely important. But I want to highlight three things for me that's at the top of this. One is skilling around character. I think it's really important as we talk about skilling and education that we don't overlook the importance of character building. Because guess what? The world today has many skilled people. We have skills that have produced innovations that have been transformative. But that has not necessarily led to an equal world. Instead, we have greater inequality than the world has ever seen, where the top 5% among us own more than 90% of the world's wealth. This is not a future that we want to sign up for. We want skills that start by building character. Character that insists on the values that make us one human community, and the value of human rights, of human dignity, of Ubuntu, that philosophy that I am because you are. We need, ladies and gentlemen, skills around character building. And so every young person here, as you race to develop skills, acquire knowledge, please know that it's important to understand what character you're building, what values you're taking with you. Because leaders of the future, if we're gonna have a sustainable future, we need character. The second skill that I think is vital is the skill of confidence. Africa has suffered a beating on its confidence. We have had generations of people who no longer believe in their own abilities because of the weight of the aid framework, where many of us have grown up post-colonial period, believing somewhat that somewhere else will come and rescue us. This has to end, because we have seen a demonstration in this room and beyond that Africans, young women and men, have what it takes to conduct their own affairs and lead their own destiny. So never again should you walk out of any room doubting your own ability to take control of your destiny. Confidence, ladies and gentlemen, is the second skill that we must intentionally build, because we have had a history that has robbed us, for the most part, of that confidence. And you, as the younger generation, you will cause the rebirth of confidence, the type of confidence that helps us to stand shoulder to shoulder with the rest of the world and demonstrate our value to ourselves and to the world. The third C for me is competence. Yes, it's mutually reinforcing. If you're not competent, you will not feel confident. And this is why it's important that we're deliberate about building those competent skills that you need to compete in the world. And I want to say here that this is where UNDP is also saying to governments, to our partners, never again would we make promises that we cannot keep. We want to bring practice to promise. And so everyone here who believes that it's important to build the skills of our young people, their competencies, let us go big on creating those resource centers beyond capitals in our rural communities, where we are exposing our young people to new technologies, new digital means that will make them competitive in the world. Let us not hold back. Let's go from promise to practice. And this, for me, should be what drives this Youth Connekt. And you young people, don't let us off the hook. Hold us responsible for keeping those promises. And then we rely on you to go confidently and face the world and bring the kind of values that will help us build a sustainable future, that will help us understand this multipolar order that we're entering and help us manage our interdependence, because currently it is mismanaged. So we're counting on you. We're counting on you. Thank you.
Bonjour à tous et à toutes. My name is Michelle Umurungi, and it is so wonderful to be here with you today. I'm really excited to kick off this intergenerational dialogue at the 7th Youth Connekt Africa edition. Now, this dialogue really embodies the spirit of Youth Connekt, which is to bridge generations. It's a platform to connect generations. And this year's theme is all about youth, jobs for youth through innovative skilling. Now, a little bit of translation for my Gen Zs. Africa is on the come up. And we will be talking about how to secure the bag by stacking up the right skills so that we can actually keep up with the times. So to get this dialogue started, it is my absolute honor to extend a warm welcome to His Excellency, the President of Rwanda, Mr. President Kagame. Following, we will have the Right Honorable Prime Minister Tsukani Samuel Matsekani. And last but certainly not least, we will have our youth voice, Mombi Dongu, founder and chief changemaker of Power Learn Project. Welcome on stage. Let's dive right in. But before we dive right in, can I just say, what a privilege to have such a wonderful panel that reflects both the wisdom of experience and the passion of youth. And speaking of youth, Mr. President, if I may start with you, when you were younger, not many years ago, what was the biggest challenge you saw on the continent, and how far do you think we've come in addressing it?
Let me start by saying good afternoon to all of you today. And express how happy I am to be here, having a discussion with you, but wanted to welcome my brother, a friend, Prime Minister of Lesotho, to Matekane, to be here with us. He took all the trouble and canceled other programs. So he was here because of the importance of this meeting. So thank you very much, Prime Minister. Now, back to the question. First, when I was very young, that was a long, long time ago, so many decades, I don't think I had, at the beginning, the eyes to see what the problem was. I was seeing the problem, but I didn't understand it. I saw problems, I experienced problems, but it took some time before I realized that these are things that shouldn't be happening to people, including myself. And as I was growing up, I also discovered that maybe something can be done about it, and that it is not other people to do it other than ourselves. A bit of history. When I was very young, it started when I was about 4. You can imagine at 4 I wasn't thinking really much about anything. I was just seeing things happen. But that's when my family went into exile, left this country. The family was fine by the standard of that time. Here it didn't have any problems. But we became refugees in the neighboring country. From that time I was 4. So I grew up as a refugee. Like many, many Rwandans, I'm sure some of them are here, but more their parents than themselves, because most of the people here are very young. Probably they were born when we came back here, or in those early years just before we came back to the country. But I'm trying to condense, what I have to say in a short time. As we grew up, therefore, as refugees, and the suffering that comes with it, and so on and so forth. But I think also the lessons that come with it. We grew up experiencing things that taught us many lessons, other than going to school and here and there. We learned other things that you don't learn in school, but you learn in life, just in life. So to the particular question, the problem I saw was, I was even asking myself. I asked my father when I was 12, whom I lost when I was 15. But at 12, I asked my father, I said, what did we do? Why are we here? Why are we in a refugee camp, feeding by way of getting ration every week. He went into a long story which explained the problem, but I won't repeat that. But I think it was clear that it was politics, it was the leaders, it was, in our case, it was a convergence of colonial times and the times of independence. And, you know, everything was just what it should not have been. So those are lessons we learned. So something was wrong. But it is disheartening to when you see that what I'm talking about then, so many years ago, in the 60s, some of them are happening even now. You still have people, especially young people, suffer the most, I imagine, and their mothers, and you still have people suffering, and suffering because of politics, because of all kinds of bad governance. Yeah, today, why should, as I experienced it when I was 4 years, why should it be happening now anywhere? It doesn't have to be in this country. Why should it happen anywhere, say on our continent? That we still have refugees, we still have tribal conflicts, we still have all kinds of things, people fighting each other than building themselves and building their countries. So for me, it's a lesson learned, a lesson that also shaped some of us until this day. And for the young people here in the room, you don't have to go through that in order to be shaped the right way, as many young people at that time came out to be. So you can learn even lessons of others, things that happened in time, in history, to other people. And also put yourself in that position where you may think, oh, what's supposed to happen to me? Or it can even happen to me. What should I do to prevent that? Or what would I do if I face that to actually come through it alive and manage it well? But that is not just you. It becomes a bigger community, a bigger society that we are talking about. So probably I gave you more than you asked for, but
thank you,
Mr.
President.
Stop here for now.
Thank you for that reflection. It is disheartening to hear that political instability is still ravaging some of our African countries, and I hope that to the youth listening, you can reflect on some of these lessons. Right Honorable Prime Minister, good morning and welcome again. If we were to pivot a little bit and look at Africa with its rich cultural heritage, in your view, how can we generate economic value and opportunities through the empowerment of our artisans, entrepreneurs, and our young people?
First of all, let me pay respect to His Excellency and to our distinguished guests and esteemed colleagues. I'm one of those people that come a long way in business. I know that I might not be direct to your question, but just want to phrase it somehow with the experience that I have had on my journey to where I am today. where we coming from in Lesotho, I come from Lesotho. Normally in Lesotho, when you start your youth, starting from the age of maybe 5, you start being a head boy, looking after your parents' animal. That's that life I have lived. You will find that it's quite difficult because even if we are head boys, we start going to school. You won't be able to be going to school every day because you have to exchange. If I go on a Monday, my brother will go on a Tuesday, on and on like that. So you'll find that in a week, someone goes to school twice, the other one 3 times. Next week, it will be the other way around. But where I want to go is these things of our youth getting into business and also having some jobs opportunities is a very good thing, and we really encourage it. Some of those of them, they are very innovative. We are seeing very good things that is coming out of them, what they are doing, which was never the case in our times. And we are saying, let's support them. In my case, I started business in a very young age. I think when I started business, I was around 20. You'll find that in those days is way different from now, where children have got advantages of going to school, learning, studying, and all the things that are associated with the future today. I started business at a very early age of about 20, where I started with a brick making concrete. What they call it, in my language, I would be saying sitini, which is a concrete brick. I was manufacturing those, and I was selling them to the locals for them to build up their houses. That went on, and then I was involved in many other things, like the selling of animals. You know, we would go to South Africa, which is our neighbor, buy the donkeys, take them to the mountains. Remember, these are done by foot. You take too many days on the road, driving this to the highlands so that you can be able to trade them and get cattle or sheep and bring them to the city, which is Maseru, where now you sell them to the butcheries or to the abattoir. So those are the lives that one has lived. But as time goes on, I just want to say to our youth, patience pays. Be a patient. Up until as time goes up, I touched in many different businesses up until before I joined politics. I was one of the top business people in Lesotho. Our young generation will know that unlike us in the past, you'll find that your father owns Bedford truck. They will own something that of those days, which Studebaker vehicles, which our youth does not even know about today. The life that they are living today needs them to work very hard and be able to achieve greater things. The cars of today have got first names and surnames, and that is their cars. You will be talking about Aston Martins, Rolls-Royce, Porsche Cayenne. This is where you are, our youth. Be patient, take your time, make money. One day you will be able to achieve all this.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable. I think there are many lessons here for the youth, and one of them is, youth, let's be patient. It takes time to get a Porsche, right? That African ingenuity is at an all-time high, and we should be able to monetize and embrace our creativity. Now, turning to our youth voice on the panel, Mombi. You see firsthand the challenges young Africans face in finding and developing their skills. With your work in skilling young people, how do you project the future of work in Africa?
Thank you so much. My name is Mumbi Ndongo. I'm from Kenya. Kenyans, hello? And I'm really honored to be here in this esteemed panel. So just to give a brief background of who I am before I answer the question. So my name is Mumbi. I'm a chief change maker at what we call Powerland Project, which is a Pan-African impact organization working to build capacity in technology. And we do this by innovating around education and providing scholarships to train software developers across the continent and get them opportunities for work. So regarding the question about the future of work, just to give context, we were launched about 3 years ago. And so far, we've been able to train about 15,000 young people across the continent of Africa. And 15,000 may seem like a huge number, but if you see the actual need for the demand, the actual gap, we're not even scratching the surfaces yet. But the beauty of this is that we've been able to find ways to collaborate with different institutions to find solutions for these young people in regards to how we perceive the future of work is going to be. And I think while answering this question, there's a lot of conversation about how the future of work looks like, especially for Africa. But for mine, I think I just want to put it in context for the young people here, because I understand first and foremost, we're an extremely practical generation. So we want to see what you're saying in action. So at Powerland, our first cohort, we were able to train about 1,000 young people. Out of this 1,000, there's a young man known as Ben. So Ben is about 21. His parents were not able to afford for him to continue with law school. So he had to drop out, especially post the COVID pandemic. And with what we were able to do, we were able to give him an opportunity through Powerland Project to build his skills in technology. And as we speak right now, Ben was able to create one of the a fintech solution that's currently working across the continent of Africa. But his journey didn't just begin from there. So when he was done with the program, he was able to join Powerland Project as an intern. But you could tell his desire for where he wanted to go was much bigger than what Powerland was providing at that time. So he got an opportunity to do some remote work, gig work with a company in the United States, using the skills he was able to get through Powerland Project. At this point, he was head of engineers. He was managing a lot of young engineers within the context of the startup. He was earning roughly about $4,000 a month, which ideally in this context is pretty much good money for a young person who's about 22. Within 5 months, he realized there was a problem, and the problem was heavily around how he would receive his money. So he had a huge challenge with accessing money that he had already worked for. So he decided to create a solution for that by building Africa's first neobank for gig workers that is known as Paid. As we speak at this moment, Ben and his team has been able to create jobs for over 8 other young people across Africa. They've been able to transact roughly about $300,000 US in a year's time through their platform because they understand the future of work is heavily going to be driven by gig work and freelancing work. So if we don't have a solution on how our young people can be paid, then how do we expect the economy to grow? And this just goes back to answer your question regarding the future of work. The future of work is not linear, it's dynamic. It requires a lot of agility, especially around education. How are we training our young people? Why are we taking so long to revise curriculums in universities and schools? Because now it means that a lot of young people are missing out and there's a huge gap, skills to market gap. Secondly, there's a lot of conversation around technology. So the future of work is heavily going to be reliant on technology. How are we leveraging this opportunity as Africa at this moment to make sure that our young people have skills to adapt to technology and use it as a conduit to empower the other different sectors that they may require? So just to summarize that, I think the future of work is extremely diverse, and I think that's the first point, because if we look at just one person like Ben who's been able to impact with our little work, and then there's 60% of the population of Africa who's young people, then we need to think around the solutions that we're creating for that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's inspiring to hear the work that you're doing to open the doors for young people. Speaking of youth and the future, Mr. President, if I may come back to you. As we look to the future, Africa holds incredible potential with its young workforce, and it's often said that 1 in 4 young people globally will be African. In your view, what should Africa prioritize over the next decade to position itself as a leading source of global talent?
Yeah, from what you've just stated, what is obvious is that we have the numbers.
Indeed.
Now, next is to work out the quality of those numbers. It's not just going to be numbers, it's also whether. So we have to invest in our different systems that the young people grow through, whether it is education, it is, but there's something we always forget at times. You provide education, you mind their health, you call upon them to participate and even in their own growth as well as their country's growth. But there has to be that environment that actually allows everything to happen. I'll come back to the politics of everything. The politics that allows stability to prevail, and therefore within that, all kinds of things to be done that we are talking about. We have to build the infrastructure, therefore, on top of that, that serves these young people. And then their task, which they always are going to be good at, will be entrepreneurship, as we have been told. It will be about innovation. It will be about doing whatever business that earns them a good living that everyone aspires toward. So Africa has everything to be where we want to be who we want to be. So we can only blame ourselves for not achieving that. And therefore, to avoid the blame, or blaming ourselves. That's why I started with saying the politics has got to be right, and it has to provide the stability that therefore creates that environment where people can do what they are best at. We have seen it's no longer just the potential. People have been talking about the potential of our continent. No, we've just seen how that potential to an extent has materialized to actually prove that everything is possible. So why not do more of what we've been doing to prove the case and make sure that more and more people benefit from being the best they can be, and also benefit from doing the very things that we always talk about. And here I have to say we should also get tired of just saying the right things for so long. We want to see the right things happen and resulting from you know, I'm thankful that in the program we saw today, I was really happy when they didn't call me up to give a speech. I was, not that I'm saying others shouldn't give speeches, but I'm saying at a personal level, I have been on this stage saying so many things, and even repeating myself, and then I see my brothers and sisters, colleagues, doing the same over and over and over and over. It's 5 years, it's 10 years, it's 20. But then we need to ask, even before anybody asks us, we need to ask ourselves, but what is what to show for what we've been saying? We really need to get tired of this. I think I can't emphasize it enough, but I think.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes.
I think. Thank you, Mr. President. It's clear that quality is crucial, and I hope that for the sake of our continent, quantity and quality will go hand in hand, and that there will be no repetition after this Youth Connekt Summit. Prime Minister, building on what Mr. President was sharing, when we think about the future, now it's synonymous with technologies. How can African leaders leverage the rise of AI technologies and digital solutions to deliver inclusive and relevant skilling and employment opportunities for the young people?
Thank you very much, moderator. I think our young people have got a lot on their plate. Africa has got a lot of minerals and other things that they can bank on. Before they even go outside to the far world, we need to work within ourselves and trade between ourselves as Africans, as our youth. Our biggest trade problems that we had in the past was access to finance, being one of them. That hampered growth. But lately, you find that there are a lot of institutions where you can be able to approach them and they can be able to assist. That is how you grow your business, and that is how you grow yourself. So by making sure that you have the bank loans and other things. But what is very, very, very important is whoever helped you with his finances or their finances, make sure you pay back. Don't just take and walk away. Because the problem with that is, it is true that you'll take and go away, but life does not end there. Tomorrow you're going to need the same people that try to help you. Businesses requires the presence of the people that have started them. Your presence there to make sure that you turn your own dream true is required in business. In the olden days, it was very difficult because you wouldn't go to the bank to ask for money. But these days, it's very easy, and everything now has become even more easier because most of the things are digitalized now. So many of the things can be done, and done correctly because of what we can access these days. Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable.